Okay, it's okay. We're gonna, this is why we love
Everyone
technology.
Pop back on.
Pop back on. You're gonna get there. They're gonna get a new link now. You're gonna catch back up. So I'm just gonna keep going. So I found myself taking a lot of baths in the month of February because it gave me a chance in the afternoon to actually sit. Like I couldn't do anything else while in the bathtub. I could possibly shave, but that was questionable. But I didn't do anything else besides sit in the bath. So thanks, Jojo. Nope, it's not just you. It cut us off. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Technology. Give me a thumbs up if you're there, or a heart,
Yeah,
or
jump back in,
or something fabulous. We'll try to remember all these folks who are there. So let us know what is something that you did in the month of February that you found to be surprisingly lovely, and that helped you to feel a little more self-love. Brandi, did you find anything this month?
Yes, I traveled, which is always a self-care thing for me. But I was telling Lindsay about this, that I really tried to listen to kind of a natural rhythm during my traveling instead of maybe stacking my day or trying to get lots of work done while I had the time. I just really listened to like the flow, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful to feel that way.
Okay, I'm already seeing some really great things.
Yes.
I think we should just get on first.
I think we should get into it.
Okay, so this is funny. We had asked for questions, and thank you for people who wrote in and asked and gave us suggestions of things to talk about. But it's funny how many of us wrote the same question down, which was what Misa just wrote, which is, how do I get past feelings of selfishness when trying to apply self-love? And I'm gonna let Brandi start with this one.
Well, I feel like you have a story with this.
Well,
how you did it.
Well, I just feel like
because it's a process. It's
a
not like
process.
suddenly.
It's a process, and I'm not going to say that it is. I'm not even going to say that it is a gender thing. But I think that most people who are with us are probably people who are caregivers for others, and it's difficult to be able to do that. I've just learned over the years that there's cost and there's value to things. And a lot of things where I give, it takes away from me, and how, if you think about it just as mathematics, if you continue to be in the negative, eventually you're going to be in the red where you're not effective at anything that you do. And so my biggest help was setting boundaries.
That's a great one.
Setting boundaries, because would you talk about codependency and love for just a second?
Sure.
And then talk about the tree.
Okay.
I know you have ideas of your own, but that's what I thought about when I saw that question. And there was lots of people that had that question. Like it's a real feeling. This kind of, I always talk about with my husband how as a mom, I feel like I have an umbrella of guilt that I just kind of, it doesn't keep the rain off. I feel like the rain's inside my umbrella, and I walk around with feelings of guilt.
Yeah, and it's a very cultural thing. There's a lot of messaging around women feeling guilty or women needing to be more than they are or whatever, but it's totally something that we get
Marcy,
to shift.
I thought it was Misa Sorensen. It's Marcy Sorensen. Great, thanks, Marcy. Still a great question. Thank you. Thank you.
So breaking through feeling selfish about self-care is also breaking through to finding where you actually feel connected to self. Because if you're connected to the part of you that is the part of the divine, there is no real selfishness, right? And that's an understanding that is hard to you have to practice it. That's where meditation comes in. That's where a lot of these different kind of getting internal and connecting with yourself to realize that you are not, who you are is not selfish. Who you are is actually very generous and very much about everyone else. But you can't hear that if you're in your head space. It's kind of that head versus gut again too. The shoulds are up here in the head space versus the kind of knowingness of what is right for you individually is more in the core, in the core body. And it's a kind of about practicing listening to that rather than your head that might guilt trip you or that might tell you what you should be doing. A lot of the expectations kind of are in head space. But when you can get connected to your own spirit, there is no such thing as selfishness in a spiritual world.
So give me an example of practicing it, because I know that I can think of exact situations where I have to practice it. I'll throw a couple out and then you throw a couple out.
Great.
Selfishness. I know that I need time to myself, and I used to feel bad about that. Like, well, if I love my family and I love my husband, I love my life, I shouldn't need time to myself. I need time to myself every day. And I'm in a space now where my children are older, so that time is in the morning for me. That is my time in the morning where I'll do the things that I need to set myself up for success for the rest of the day. But there's a lot of things I probably could be doing, but I reserve that. I reserve that time for me. What's another way we can practice? We can practice this skill.
Right. For me, it's a lot about learning to discern the voices. So again, like if you have a harsh voice in your mind, thinking about so if anything around selfishness is going to be kind of triggering, right? People will try and guilt trip you into doing something. It's like, hey, you should take care of my kids because I'm overwhelmed, right? That's a common one that we feel. And so we kind of are playing on each other's like, oh, I should help them or I should do this. But those are voices that are not your own real connection. You get to still kind of weigh that within yourself of, is this right for me to take care of them? Is that something that I want to do? Yes, because we do generally want to help other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a difference between doing something that we feel like we should do that's coming from our own expectations or others' expectations and something that we feel internally that's like, yes, this would be so good for me and for them, or because I love them, or whatever it is. And otherwise you're going to get burned out. You're going to keep doing things that'll burn you out.
I think too, the more that you practice it, the more it becomes, the more everyone else understands it. Like,
yes.
If I never take time for myself, that it's like, this may sound funny, but like if I go for a walk, it's like, good for you, you're all done with that now. And I'm like, I went for a walk. Like it's not that big of a deal. But the more I take time for myself, it becomes that now it is an expectation of everyone else in my home or in my life, like with that boundary. This is what you do. Like there's a respect and there's a, and I want the same things for them. Like I want them to have self-love. And so you kind of understand it better. Or if there's only one person who's doing it and it's like a pat on the back, okay, you're done with that job now. It's a constant feeding. It's not like, oh, I had self-care this week.
Right.
But it's like an every day, whether it's reading a book or going for a walk in nature, or it is taking a bath, or it is meditating. Like my kids are like, is mom taking a nap? No, she's just meditating. Like, and they just don't come in because now they're used to seeing it. But you know what? I'm grateful they're seeing it because they have to do the same things for them. We all have different needs. Some people need to be with other people. I need to be alone.
And that's one of my favorite parts about teaching this kind of thing is that when women choose to take care of themselves from an authentic place, they're actually teaching that to their kids. It's self-care is what my modeling is for my kids. And that is way more powerful than a mom who rushes about and is worn out, and that the kids learn that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've seen this too. I feel like it's generational. I feel like this generation, this is not a bust on anyone who is younger or older. I'm just going to say something I've noticed. I've noticed women who are in their 60s, 70s-ish. I feel like that generation was give, collapse. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and I'm resentful for people for not appreciating what I did. And then give. Where I have, I guess, I don't call it selfishness. I've always done it, and maybe I was in tune, or maybe I just was trying to survive motherhood. I don't know, but it grew into a practice where now when I apply self-love, the beautiful thing is that when you apply self-love, you then know what you need. Like if I'm so frazzled and I'm so like spent and just like out of my mind, no one can help me.
Right.
That's my job.
Right.
That's my job. If I'm applying self-love and I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Yesterday I was overwhelmed and I had to leave to go do something. I told my husband, I said, can you please do this, and this for me, please? I'm just feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, no problem. But if I wasn't applying self-love and didn't know what I was feeling, I would have just been an angry hag, and no one would have been able.
Right, and be upset with people when they have no reason, no idea why.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about like selfishness versus self-love is we get nervous about love, even though it is love, right? Love is unselfish by nature. So maybe if you're feeling selfish about it, that's not actually love. That there's a way to tap into an actual love for self and a love for other people Yeah.
Expand on that. I'm
Well, let's
swirling it.
Yeah, let's do the tree thing again, because I just love the tree analogy. So when you look at a tree, and we're all kind of patterned after trees or with trees, but the root system is really the tree's own root system. It can't feed off of anybody else's roots. It can't get nourishment. I mean, it kind of does. There is some connection with the root system in a tree.
What if it's a quaking aspen?
They all work together. Yeah. So I guess deep enough, there's a connection to all of them.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes.
I think the Wyld community is a bunch of quaking aspens.
Yes,
That's
I
what we
totally
are.
agree.
We're pandas and quaking aspens.
And we help each other grow in the different ways.
Yeah.
But then we have our individual trunks where nobody else can kind of feed your
Yes.
individual trunk.
Yes.
That's a lot in our own body. Our trunk is kind of our seat of power. Our solar plexus is our connection to power and self-worth. And no one can give you your self-worth, right? And no one can give you your power.
Say that again.
No one can give you your self-worth. No one can give you your power.
That is massive. The feeling of the deserving. I deserve
Right.
this. That is what self-worth is. No one can give you the feelings of self-worth.
Confidence. Yep.
I like self-worth.
You have to build that. You have to choose that for yourself and connect with it yourself. And then once you have those connections in your own solar plexus, your own trunk, then you raise that energy up into your arms, and your arms are kind of like that giving. It's like the tree that branches out. So once you have that connection with self, yes, that connection with self and what is right for you, your own boundary and your own connection to worth and worthiness, then you can give from a place of authenticity, from a place of I genuinely care about this person. You're not going to overgive. You're not going to do too much for somebody else because you're actually listening to what is right for me.
I think that people have a fear of, one, what others think, which I tossed several years ago.
Yay.
It was awesome. The other is, I think I used to feel like, well, if I do this, I'm going to want more and more. Like almost like I didn't trust myself, like I was going to be a taker and I was going to become selfish. But I think it goes back to like, I'm thinking, am I really? I think I know myself well enough that I'm not going to take advantage of people that I love. But I did have that thought.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to be a taker, and I don't like takers.
Yep. And one thing that's coming to mind with this too, as like kind of a practical tool, with any of these feelings of selfishness, to let yourself kind of feel them, like turn them up. One of my favorite tools with emotions is to listen to them. So imagine like turning them up, feeling like the fear or the guilt or the obligation or whatever it is, and just really let yourself feel it. Feel it in your body, feel it in your mind. Let it be there. Let it talk. And then usually you'll kind of emerge from that. It will get bigger and more intense and have, different emotions come up, and then it will usually break. All of those things, that fear or that guilt or that stuff that drives selfishness or fear of selfishness is not truth. And whenever you feel into something, truth will be solid and it will stay, and untruth will break. And so you can feel safe to feel your emotions, because again, if it's something true, you'll feel a connection to it, and if it's untrue, it's going to break into the truth, which is that you are worthy and deserving of time and protection and caring for self and asking for more help with that from the people around you, whatever that is.
Another thing I think too is surround yourself with people who want the same thing as you. And I had a number of people just say, you really care, you really make self-care a priority. And I'm always flattered when someone says that, but I'm always thinking, I don't know that I think about that way anymore, but find people who do it, and you do feed off of one another, and you get ideas, and you see these patterns happening, and you see, the bottom line is like, I mean, not that you're immune to having bad things happen to you, but when you are in self-care, you can manage your life better because you're in tune and you are listening and you're aware. Whereas people who are thin, they're just you know what I mean, like just stretched thin, where it's like something could happen small and they snap and crack, and I feel terrible, because it really is a matter of understanding your worth.
Yep. And what's neat about it is, as you practice that, you give everyone around you permission to also do the same thing. And that is so empowering. That's a collective community that supports each other in finding ways to care for self, because that is where it starts. You can't really give beyond what you have to offer, right? Yeah.
If you use the phrase, instead of I'm giving self-care, if you use the phrase, I'm finding my self-worth, I think that we would do things a little different. I'm nourishing my self-worth. I'm finding my self-worth. I think that's something I'm going to start using, because I think it goes back to value, like the worth instead of just care. You know, care, worth. Worth means you understand the value behind what you're doing. Care is typically an act.
Yep.
But
And one part with all of this too that we've kind of touched on briefly is just connection with the part of you that's part of the divine, because we can't on our own sometimes see ourselves, but we can connect with a part of us that's more spiritual, whether that's through meditation or whether that's through a practice. Nature. I think everyone, well, not everyone, but people generally accept that there's something about us that is not up to us, like there's a divine providence or something that's happening, and we can ask for help for ourselves to feel more self-worth. Because often, especially if you're in a place of having selfishness or being stuck, you can't do it, right? You have to ask for help.
And if you have like internal dialogue that is feeding you a loop of negativity or feelings of unworthiness, I think that's a really great messages to ask for help. Help me understand what it is, where I am, what you need me to be, how I become my very best. How do I discover my self-worth? How do I grow my self-worth? How do I encourage self-worth? Because really that's what it comes down to. And I think actually I'm just having a light bulb. I think that self-worth is where you find your self-care practices. When you truly understand your self-worth, you know what you need. I need stillness and I need quiet. I need to use my body. I need connection. I need good food. I need proper rest. But self-care without self-worth becomes a burden, because there are things you feel like you have to do. But when you understand your self-worth, there are practices that evolve that become a self-care.
Yes, instead of a to-do list of these are the ways I'm going to care for self,
it's
it
very
actually
short,
becomes alive.
Right? And it becomes it becomes.
And it's individual for every person. That maybe you need stillness and I need something else, or whatever.
Right. I think that's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, connecting that back with self-worth.
Ugh. Just take that for a second. Sorry, I'm just still pondering on the idea of self-worth. Our world would be a wonderful place if we all really, truly understood how much worth we have.
Our own value.
Yeah. It's something that only you can do. Only, I mean, I could list all of your beautiful names, but only you can do it. Only you have the potential to do it. It's just something that you embody and you carry. So understanding and deepening our self-worth is where we find our practices of self-care, and maybe it is a pedicure. Nothing wrong with it. Not at all. If you are, that's what you need, that's fantastic. But I think asking yourself how you really feel about your self-worth, where that balance is going to be really good. Okay, real quick, if you are joining us, or if you've been, like, give a thumbs up or give like a spirit fingers or a dancey face or something, so we know you're on here, because if you're on here, we're going to give a little gift out. So I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. We do have another question that I want to ask and get your advice on, that we can discuss, is what do you believe is key to maintaining, and I'm not going to say self-love. I feel like we have a new
self-worth?
I think we have a new topic. Can we do that? At the end of the month, can I change the topic?
We're deepening our understanding.
What do you believe is the key to maintaining self-worth?
Oh, right? Everyone just ponder on that for a minute.
That's double chin.
Oh gosh.
Double chin. That's amazing, double chin. Yes.
20 minutes.
Okay, this is going to be our last question. So
okay.
you begin with that one. What do you believe is the key to maintaining self-worth?
Wow.
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
But it's also very easy.
Yeah, I guess it depends, right? There's a practice and then there's a deeper connection, right? So where can you find your connection?
I have an idea.
Great.
I have an idea. Why do I understand my self-worth and act on it, then forget, then have to remember it again? Because you're human.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a lot of things. That's why we practice things, and
yes.
You keep practicing. You're doing a great job. I think the key to maintaining self-worth is awareness. That's what I think.
Okay.
I think it's awareness.
That's a great.
I think awareness is probably the answer for most things, but awareness comes back to understanding yourself. It comes back to being awake up here and in here, as opposed to just doing things mindlessly, right? I feel like awareness, not as like squirrel what's going on, but really being able to feel what's going on. Like I can feel when something's off with myself. I can feel when something's off with one of my children or with my husband or all these different things. But if I'm unaware and I'm just numbing and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, I don't feel those things. When everything feels the same as far as level of priority, I know my life is like messed up. If I'm super annoyed that I didn't get to vacuum, and I'm also super annoyed that like my neighbor's cat passed away, that's a problem. Like I should really be able to feel the difference. And I know when I'm not in a place of awareness, everything overwhelms me, and I don't get anything done.
Which is awareness to then realize I'm overwhelmed, I'm not getting anything done.
Right, and then I have to go back and go, what have I done? And then I have to go back to the practices of what helps me feel aware, what helps me feel alive.
I love that.
Go for a walk. Meditate. In fact, those are times where I have to meditate once or twice or 3 times a day when I feel like I'm constantly just like wandering in space. My brain is wandering. It's not that I can keep it on the leash, because that little puppy just goes and goes and goes.
Right.
She's just like all over the place. But just showing her, hey, I understand where you are. And so I'll try 2 or 3 times a day on the days that I'm super just like squirrel.
Yeah. And for those of you who aren't super familiar with meditation, it's not about not thinking. It's about noticing that you are thinking, and that's that cultivating awareness, because your thoughts are like kind of like sometimes a nasty roommate, right? That is just saying whatever.
She's a booch.
And just leaving dishes out or whatever, right?
What's wrong with her?
And then when you realize that it's just like, you wouldn't take that personally, like you wouldn't an external person. Sometimes you can't take your own voice in your head personally. You just are becoming aware of there's some chatter going on, and I'm not the chatter. I'm the one that's filtering the chatter. I'm the one that's observing the chatter, and that is cultivating that awareness, which stays awake and alive and present with you, so that you can actually be kind of the actor, the agent in your life, rather than reactive or.
Yeah, if you haven't read the book by Michael Singer, it's called The Untethered Soul, and it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Write it down.
Also,
right now.
his biography
is also remarkable.
Yes. Oh, it's incredible. That one's called The Surrender Experiment. Life-changing book.
Yes. And if you if you're like, I'm not a reader, that's okay too. Send me a text and I'll send you the podcast, the shorter version of it. Then you're going to be hooked and you're going to want to read it. But like Brandi's saying, we are not our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. It's really easy to become unaware and just cycle and numb and numb and numb.
Right.
Yeah. Think about what you think about. Think about what you think about.
Yes.
That's one of his lines in the book. We'll have a book club
notice
later.
that you're thinking.
Oh my gosh, let's do a book club. People, when do we have time to do these things? Okay, you got to pick. You got to dance. You got a book club. One or the other. We can't do both. I'm kidding. We can do both. But this is actually a really good lead-in, because next month is going to be Meditation March. If you're afraid, if the word meditation freaks you out and you think you're going to levitate and be in like some great mudra, it's not. It's not. Meditation is a daily practice. So if any of these questions were like pertinent to you tonight, I'm going to tell you meditation is very likely going to be a solution or a practice for you. I shouldn't say solution, because it won't solve your problems for you, but it will be at the beginning of a practice. And we're going to go through it very, very basic, not tonight, but next month it's going to be Meditation March. And we're going to have some events. We're going to have someone else speak as well, which I'm very, very grateful for. I appreciate your courage, and I appreciate the questions that you asked. I appreciate you being here. And maybe this is your way of self-worth tonight. It's just a reminder of what you're worth. Sometimes we need a reminder, and good friends and loved ones are the ones who can sometimes reach out to us and pull us up in ways that we didn't know that we maybe needed. Brandi, what do you have? Anything else you want to say?
Well, I just think the last thing, maybe even going to a good friend and saying,
I'm struggling.
Yeah, how can I cultivate, what do you see that I could do to care for self, or to connect with my self-worth? Instead of maybe, because sometimes we're not even aware, right? We just think that I need to do all of the things, But a friend could be like, you know, you don't have to do that, or that's maybe not serving you, or maybe you're doing that for somebody else that is not necessary, or they're not really benefiting that much, or you're not benefiting that much, right?
Just perspective.
Yes,
A
perspective.
totally different perspective, which I think is also, that is great.
You need those friends to say, hey, I think you're wearing yourself out.
Right.
I think you're doing too much.
I think you could let go of this, and
Yeah,
this, and be a happier person.
Yes, and
Right.
and that's what you want, is connection with self.
And I would say this, maybe even someone who's not in your boat. Pick someone who's maybe still a little farther in the age bracket. Sometimes they do a really, really great job of letting you know, baby, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Someone who's been there and done that. Not that they've solved it, but they can give you a perspective versus someone who's in the boat with you.
Right.
Find someone who is a little bit, who's in a bigger boat that's farther, that's farther than you, maybe in smooth water, so they can help you through it.
And that loves you, that
Yeah,
knows
oh,
you,
of
loves
course.
you.
Yes, yes, for sure, 100%. Okay, Brandi, I love you.
Oh, this has been so
What
fun.
great! We have so much fun. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being attendant in my life of someone who shows me all these things and teaches me things and encourages me to do these things and challenges me to do more things. And I just love. I
Or
love
do
you.
less things.
Or do less things. I mean, more things of self-worth, understanding self-worth. You are a wonderful, a beautiful sounding board of not just ideas and intentions, but of growing. Like it's really wonderful to share with you.
Same. Ditto.
Walk. Oh yes, another great walk in the wilderness. If you didn't write something, you just wanted to wave. Give me a heart or something or a thumbs up, letting me know that you were here tonight because we're gonna do a little giveaway. Wait, don't leave. There's homework. There's homework. There's homework. Stay here. This is the homework. This is the homework because February is kind of a weird month. Don't you think it's kind of a
such a
hard
strange
one?
month.
It is a hard month for most people. So we are just about done with February, but to finish the month out, here is your challenge. Either on IG stories or on a post, or if you're super private and personal or you don't use IG, clearly you do because you're watching this. But if you don't, if you want to send me a text, that's fine. It's wonderful that in the Wyld community we understand self-worth and self-love, but the whole point of this is to share our lights with other people. So wouldn't it be amazing if tomorrow morning your friends are looking through your feed and they're like, oh, Brandi loves that she's incredibly resilient. That's good for her. And you are going to make a post of something you love about yourself. And it cannot be a physical trait, and it cannot be anything you own, just so you know. It must be something about you. And if you will just tag us in it, every post or IG story or text you send me is going to be an entry for a Mama Jamma gift pack of all of my favorite things that I love, just because I love them. No sponsorships, they're just things that I want to share with everyone. So some gift cards, some products, some books that I think that you would really love. So every post, every IG story that you say something or write something you love about yourself, it could be a video too, that would be awesome.
That would be really...
That'd be powerful.
That would be brave.
That'd be like PhD, I love myself world. Like, you know what? You get 2 entries if you make a video, because I think it's even more powerful. If you make a dance video, you get 10 points while doing it. If you can make a dance video and say what you love about yourself, even more points. But everyone is an entry. Mark, who's funding that? Whoops. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. But we love you. We love you so very much. And we love all the work that you're doing on yourself. We know that the only thing that we can ever really change is ourselves. And by you changing yourself, you change every little ripple that's in your pond. And so we're so grateful for you. Please, please, please make your post, make your dance post, sing a song, do something fantastic. But every post or entry you make gets you one more chance of possibly winning. We're going to close this contest out within 24 hours. So it will begin tomorrow. It will run all day Friday, and we'll announce our winner on Saturday. So we love you. Thank you for joining us for a walk in the wilderness. I love you.
You guys are amazing.
Yes, out of your comfort zones. But what a
Yes.
wonderful thing to get out of your comfort zone. It's not like you're like, I'm going to totally wear that thong bikini today. No, don't do that. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But what a great way to get out of your comfort zone by helping someone else.
Yes.
Like helping someone else. That's really what you want to do. That's what we're here for, is to share the light that we have in this beautiful panda, quaking aspen community, but we need to push this light out. We need to push this light out so that we can help other people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and maybe even thinking of, what do I love about this other person, right? What do I love about the people around me?
mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna look for something within self that is also like that, which is vulnerable. We don't like to like brag, but it's
Is
not
it
about
bragging?
that.
Clearly, I could give you a list of 85 things I love about you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you told me something you loved about me, I think it would mean even more to me because now you see what I see,
Yes.
or
I
even a
love that.
piece of what I see, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could give a laundry list of every person on here what I love about you, but it would mean far more to me to see you understand that about yourself.
Right.
So we can muster up some self-worth and some
Yes.
self-love tomorrow.
And some courage to
And some
post about
courage.
it.
You can do it. We love you. We love you. We love you. Until next time, we're gonna take a little walk in the wilderness.
Mwah.
Mwah. Okay, and I have to, end. And then I have to save this. And she told me if I didn't, she would kill me. So we're gonna end, right? It
Yep.
always makes me scary. It says